That's Pedro. Ooh, dog got pop like Chico. I like them blind like Nito. Although I'm not Carlito, I was the side like Neo. Keep all around my pre-roll. New Orleans, I'm Creole. What's poppin'? Brand new whip is hopping. I got options. I can pass that shit like stocking. Just joshing. I'm spitting this holiday locking. My body got rid of them toxins. Sports in the top 10.
Welcome to Spreading Love Unapologetically. My name is Gaylisa Carr, and I want to welcome you to the show. We're patching live in from Bigo and Facebook. Welcome, guys. The first thing I want to do is give out the number. We are taking phone calls, 216-939-5087. And once again, my name is Gaylisa Carr, and I'm the founder of Adjusting Lives, Healing Hearts. And we have created a network that encompasses the ex-offender and helps them to become productive citizens. On my left is Gina and Tamora. And I will patch it to Gina right quick.
Hi, guys. I'm Gina Kenny. I am the president of EPIC, Ensuring Parole for Incarcerated Citizens. We are a nonprofit 501c3 fighting for fair laws and treatment of our incarcerated people. I've been advocating for our incarcerated people for quite some time now. And every day it's just more sickening and sickening dealing with the inhumane conditions that our loved ones are forced to deal with. We are in coalition with Adjusting Lives, Healing Hearts, and BAM, by any means. This is Tamara.
Hey.
Go ahead and tell me.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. So, what Gina already said, we're with By Any Means. We are a fairly new organization, 501c3. Thank you. And we are basically doing the same thing, just a little bit of different spin. We have a team of 7 people right now, and we look forward to continue to work with our network.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Welcome.
We want to first let you know what Spreading Love Unapologetically is. And it is just with no judgment, and we understand people do make mistakes. I am formerly incarcerated individual who, after many years, wanted to do something to help this population because it was a devastating experience to me. So after the years passed, I ran through, I met a lot of people, and now we have formed a recidivism prevention network, which is going to fully encompass these individuals from the first time they hit the city or county jail all the way to employment and housing. Some of the things, there are several issues, and there's a lot of misconceptions about the ex-offender. For instance, most people think that it is the black male that is incarcerated the most, but it isn't. It is the white male. The correction officers are white males, 78%. Total population for last year was 13,913 people.
Sad.
Sad.
Very sad, guys.
Right. Female population, 866 blacks, 2,602 white. Release information from 2019, there were 21,890 individuals released from custody. And out of the 21%, only 5,000 were released to someone or an entity.
Sad again.
Sad again. Violent offenders by population, you have 31,385 violent offenders locked up in the state of Ohio, but only 6,000 have life sentences. Commitments by county, Cuyahoga being the first with 1,500. Hamilton 872, Franklin 787. As I said, commitments by race, 8,643 people white, 4,758 black. Commitments by age, 2,000 under 24, 2,600 25 to 29, 2,600 30 to 34, 2,300 35 to 39, 40 to 44, 1,600, 45 to 49, 1,000, and there's over 1,450 plus. Why are we reading these statistics? I wonder. Because this is the misconception about incarceration. And when it's a misconception, then it's a problem with the whole system. Because most people would think of just a bunch of black people be locked up, but that's not true. Let me see. So we want to talk about department employees, which is Gina's expertise.
I'm pulling it up now.
As I said, the demographics are these people are being supervised by white males, which white males being the most incarcerated individuals. So I thought that was important to bring up and start out with because there's so many misconceptions about incarceration and people just do things and they just want to do it and they can do it and they just don't care. No, that's not it. It's the same with everybody. But it's such, because people really, if you haven't been incarcerated, you really don't understand, which is not an excuse, but it's just a mistake. How many people have did things and never got caught?
A whole lot.
Right. So what I do is, what I would like to say that I do is kind of take and allow people to think about what they're doing. How do we think about what we're doing
And how we got there.
and how we got there
And why we're here.
and why we're here? Because if that is what I had to do, I had to sit back and be like, wait a minute, I'm in prison. I'm locked up. I can't go to the refrigerator. I can't do nothing unless they tell me to do it. So where did I go wrong? What was I thinking about? Or was I not thinking? Or it's just situations and circumstance. So my program tries to open these individuals up so that they may get a better understanding of who they are, not the rehabilitation. Nobody can rehabilitate you. It's really all up to us.
On your own.
But you have to have a support system. You have to have an understanding of the process in life, and things do happen, and there are rules and procedures that we do have to follow. So with that being said, let's go to Tamara because she deals more with the inside issues
Yes.
of what's going on inside the institutions.
Okay. We talked to we talk to a lot of loved ones inside the prisons on a constant basis. One of the biggest issues that they have right now in terms of returning home is housing.
Mm-hmm.
Where am I going to live? Where am I going to stay? Can I even get out because I don't have housing? You know, and the second thing will be in employment,
Mhm.
medical. These are some of the major issues facing our loved ones when considering coming home. But even before they can get to that point, one of the things that we try to work with them on, because BAM is by any means is in the process of building a mentorship circle for our loved ones as well, not just our loved ones, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone's. And some of the things that we talk a lot about is respect. It's technology. You know, some folks been in there for 35, 30 years, 40 years, 25, 20, 10. Technology has changed a lot, a lot. And we want them to be prepared and set them up for success, you know. And unfortunately, because of COVID has put a stop on a lot of progress for not just for them, but for us and for everyone. But they're still human, you know, and they still deserve to be treated like humans and human beings with respect. And they're not being treated with respect. We get a lot of phone calls. I get a lot of phone calls from, well, out of my team, we each have a region. So I handle the North region, Grafton, Lorraine. And in Grafton, they have some medical issues going on. We have loved ones at Grafton right now who have been diagnosed with cancer. And it took them 8 months to get them to an outside prison. And 8 months, 8 to 9 months for two of them, both of them, they're at the end of the road, you know, because it took them so long. One gentleman, he was coughing up blood and they still didn't want to take him, blood clots. So these are issues they're facing even before, you know, scheduled to come home, can't come home, he's going to pass away.
Not to mention DRC has a responsibility
Right.
to take care of them. It is their responsibility to make sure they maintain those people, and they're not. They're absolutely not. Not in any prison.
And then the violence.
As another thing. The
is
abuse of
major.
power, the COs beating on incarcerated people, causing issues between incarcerated people. It's every day. And I mean, we have different organizations, but we're getting the same amount of calls, the same amount of cries. I mean, family members reaching out to us. What can you guys do for us? And honestly, we're organizations that are building off of donations.
Yes.
You know, and it's really, truly hard to get other people who are incarcerated, family members involved. They're like, what can we do? I mean, the least you can do is at least donate, support, share. When we have rallies and protests, be there, show up. Yes. You know, we have our own loved ones that I do.
Yes, I definitely do.
She does, and I know a lot of our people do. Unlike Lisa, we weren't formally incarcerated, but believe in me, we are just as much incarcerated as our loved ones are. And I think that's what people fail to realize is they did their crime, let them do the time. Yeah, you're right, but still, DRC has a responsibility to uphold, and they do not do that. So
that's major. You know, that responsibility. I believe I worked for the county, Cuyahoga County for many years. And one of the things I learned there is being able to build a bridge between the penal system and our loved ones and the families, you know. And all the issues going on, all we've ever wanted to do was be able to work with them. But they haven't really responded.
I mean, that is a part of rehabilitation.
Right, it's a part. Well,
I mean, you would think.
No,
we would think. We do not. No, it takes an individual to rehabilitate themselves.
Exactly.
I've never been able to change anyone.
How can you rehabilitate someone that's not been rehabilitated? Right. You know, and that's our stance. And so while you're in there, take the opportunity to do what you need to do.
But then again, they're not even offering them the programs that they need to attempt to rehab. I mean, NAAA, all that stuff. It was cut out for a very long time.
Cut. And over at ORW right now, we have a young
which
lady.
is our women's prison. Just so those that don't know, our viewers,
they're not cutting them any slack, right? You know, we have a young lady who is being retaliated against right now. She's trying to go to school, but they keep writing her up tickets every single day for standing, for leaning, for breathing, basically. I mean, only because she wants to do something positive. This has to stop. You know, this has to stop because if you're there and you're doing your time, at least let me do my time and educate myself. This has to stop. You know, it's frustrating. We speak with a lot of different people. We actually have a point person who is dynamic. Her name is Heidi and Karina. And they go to bat for every single one constantly. I deal with a lot with the more detailed concerns as well as Heidi in terms of the medical issues going on in Grafton. But it's disturbing to me.
And Grafton is a level 2. right?
Level 2, level 1.
Level 1, level
Yeah,
2. It's a
yeah.
minimum prison. Like
Yes.
there's,
Like,
I mean,
Yeah,
wow.
can you explain the levels? It's 4 to 1?
5
5
levels.
5,
yeah.
okay.
5 levels. There's 5 levels. And based upon each, it's what, 23-1 is level. Lockdown 23 hours, hour 1.
Yeah, they're locked down 23 hours a day. They're
Yeah.
out for 1 to shower, call, whatever.
Yeah, and down to 4 is 22, 2, and all the way down. And then basically level 1.
So what she's saying is each prison has its different status
Yeah.
according to your crime or if you acted up within your incarceration. And level ones are locked down. They're out 1 hour a day. Level twos are out 2 hours a day?
Yes.
A day.
A day.
I mean, could you
A day.
imagine? I mean, being locked in your bedroom 24/7 and only allowed out 1 hour. And sometimes they don't even get that hour.
Yes.
I mean,
They
they don't. I mean, prisons go on lockdown, and even though they're one man cell, they're still being totally all the way locked.
But
It's
see, my
inhumane.
concern with that is they're out for an hour and then they're catching COVID. Where's it coming from?
Right. Right.
You know, it's spilling into our community.
And while we're speaking about responsibilities of DRC, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the payroll and why I feel that it's necessary that they should be doing more, and that it bothers me that they haven't, because I'm telling you right now, if I was making $50, $60 an hour, I'd do everything in my willpower to make sure that I'm making every penny of that.
Yes.
And don't forget, those that aren't affected, you are condoning this behavior. We, the taxpayers, are paying these bills for incarceration. Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. If you go to checkbook.ohio.gov, at the top of there, it says putting government transparency at your fingertips. Really? Because guess who sits number 1? Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. And when I say this, it's crazy. They're almost at $1 billion for payroll.
Yes.
$832 million. Underneath that, Department of Transportation, which I feel should be one of our number 1 department payroll agencies, as well as teachers, which we're going to get to the teachers in a second because that's a whole new ballgame. But the difference between just the Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections and the Department of Transportation, $500 million, $500 million less payroll than DRC. Now let's go. I gotta go down. Oh, I just messed the page up. But if you go down, it's probably about 20 agencies down. 20 agencies down. $50 million. $50 million for payroll for our teachers. Why? Because people say the system's broken. No, it's not. It's set up the way it's intended to be, and it's working for them. And it's our problem, because we the people need to change this and let them know, like, look, we've caught on. We see what's happening right now.
Yes.
If you ask me, our teachers who are dealing with our children, who are trying to make them, prosper during life and make them better people, $50 million in the state of Ohio, that's all our teachers are making. And DRC, the prison system, which we keep full at 130 over capacity. I mean, $830 million. Imagine if we took, even $300 million from them and distributed to our teachers. Our kids would have programs again. Our kids would have clubs again. Our kids would have sports again. They don't have any of that. There's many school districts in Ohio that aren't even providing after-school activities for our children. Nowadays, it takes every bit of 40 hours a week to take care of families. A lot of people don't have it like old school life used to be. Mom and dad were in the house. You have many single parents barely making it, especially right now during COVID, with, either working or minimally working or not making as much as they were. It's sad. Our kids are having no other option but to resort to the streets. and to find love and to find activities and to obviously their peers are the worst because you know what it is. The accomplice law in Ohio is serious.
Oh, yes.
It is
Yes.
something serious. And
Yes.
believe in me, I've been living my last 20 years with my husband over it. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong crowd, you're done. You're over
Can you
with.
explain that a little bit more?
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't understand.
The
what
wrong
you're saying.
crowd, the wrong place, wrong crowd, the
What
accomplice.
did you call it?
The accomplice law.
The
The accomplice law means that it doesn't matter if you didn't even know John Doe was going to go shoot up the store, go shoot up a house, or go rob a store. You were just out in the car waiting. The minute he gets back into your car, or even you just pulling up to the scene, you are now an accomplice.
Yes.
That means that you are just as guilty as the one that just went up into the store and robbed it, or the one that just went and shot the gun himself. And honestly, nowadays, and if you get caught in the system, the way the prosecutors end up and the detectives end up doing these type of situations, they always try to get the co-defendants to testify on the one that didn't even commit the crime. And this guy is getting more time than the one that committed the crime because they're testifying against them.
That's what happened to my loved one.
Right. And they're making them take plea deals. So they're, if they take a plea deal, they're admitting guilt. And a lot of times people are wrongfully incarcerated. I don't care what people want to think. Did the time, let them pay the time. Wrongful conviction is a totally different aspect. 54% of wrongful incarceration has resulted in police and prosecutorial misconduct.
Yeah.
And it happens daily. I know a lot of exonerees, a lot of them, and they spent 20, 30, even 40 years. Ronnie Long, 44 years before he was exonerated on a crime he wasn't even there for. It's absolutely crazy. So they don't take the plea deals. They could get 10 years. But because they didn't do it, they want to take it to trial. Now they take it to trial. Now they're over sentencing them. For instance, my husband was wrongfully incarcerated as a juvenile. There were 3 people that were said running from the scene. My husband is the only one ever since 2001 that has been serving time on this crime that he did not even commit. Had he took a plea deal, he would have been home a long time ago. He could have took a plea deal for 10 years, but he knew there was no evidence. And even still to this day, I'm actually finding explanatorial evidence, and now we're getting somewhere with his case. However, prior to this, there was nothing. So he took it to trial as a child. Mom and dad wasn't allowed in when he was being interrogated. And when he went in for questioning, he was arrested on spot on other charges as a juvenile. They held him on that as a warrant. He's been incarcerated ever since. Never got to talk to a lawyer, none of that. So they pushed him through the system as a child, and they do this often. You would not believe how many convicted juveniles we have sitting in Ohio right now. And God bless Senate Bill 256, but we got to work on that parole board, which that's another topic for tonight. We'll get to that soon.
Right.
However, my husband ended up taking it to trial, and instead of the 10 years, my husband was convicted at 17 years old, 36 years to life. 36 years to life. Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean he's getting out in 36 years. That means he has a slim chance at parole. And right now, our parole board in Ohio, they're flapping, which means giving people extra time at their discretion. So if they're waking up one day having a bad day, I don't want to let him go.
Yeah.
He's 5 more years, 10 more years, because they can flap up to 10. So my husband goes to the parole board in 2037 for a very slim chance at parole. But first-time hearings, more than likely, are being flapped 10 years. So it's actually going to be like 46 years before his second chance. So we definitely have to reconstruct our parole board first and foremost. Luckily, the Senate Bill 256, which was a juvenile bill, just was signed by Governor DeWine last month. It gives great justice to our juveniles. However, it means nothing until we reconstruct our parole board. We set guidelines, we make them set guidelines, and they follow them. So now we'll go up in 25 years versus the 36 years. But like I said, slim chance. But I count my blessings every day. And as I said, he is wrongfully incarcerated. So I've been fighting big time on his case, digging and tearing apart files like you wouldn't believe. And I know I'm bringing him home And I know that he's going to be exonerated before the 25 years, fingers crossed. But you just got to count your blessings, and this life, this journey, it's a very hard one to live, whether you're inside or out. But we definitely have to start changing the narrative, because these are people, they're human beings, they breathe life. People are treating animals, people are saying they're treated like animals. No, animals breathe life as well, and they deserve to be treated as such. Anyone that breathes oxygen, they're mankind. They should be treated as a person. So I don't care what a person did. DRC has total responsibility over our incarcerated people, and they need to step up and start footing those paychecks and doing the work that they're supposed to be doing, because we've had reports that mental health nurses, they're not being seen, wardens aren't being seen. It's sickening. It's sad.
Yeah, it's constant.
It's sad.
It's really constant.
So why do you guys think that that issue is such a big problem?
You want the short answer?
No, I want the long answer.
We got time.
Give me the long answer, because that's where we need to dig from. And people that are listening, by the way, phone lines are open, 216-939-5087. 216-939-5087.
I think that there's no one answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the penal system, you have to look at what's driving it. Money's always
Right.
been
So penal is punishment.
punishment. Yes, the
Right.
prison system, just so people can, like you said, understand money. They're getting paid to incarcerate our loved ones. So why would they want to let them go?
Yeah. So
Oh, no,
we can
because
get
there's
paid to punish.
modern day
Yeah,
slavery.
it's modern day slavery.
I mean, the 13th Amendment was never abolished.
right it's in the state of Ohio.
And we're going to work. Hey, Cecil Thomas, if you're listening, or if
Yes.
anybody has connections with Cecil Thomas, we've been emailing you, trying to get a hold of you.
Yes.
Our organizations, plus the national coalition behind us, are all in support of SJR 5,
Yes.
where we take out that exception clause and abolish slavery once and
Yes.
for all in Ohio. Let's be the trailblazers you said in your meeting you wanted us to be.
Yes.
Say it again, Gina, for the people in the back.
For the people in the back, free the 13th. Free the 13th. 13th Amendment is the slavery is still very much alive, and it's all in our prison system. If you read the 13th Amendment, there's an exception clause.
Yeah.
And it needs to be abolished. It needs to say no slavery, period.
Yes.
Period. So Cecil Thomas, he's already sponsored the bill. He's got like 8 co-sponsors. Please, you guys, SJR, Senate Joint Resolution 5. It's Cecil Thomas's bill. It was just in the committee about a month ago. We've got to support that. Let's be trailblazers. He said we had to be the trailblazers. Let's be trailblazers. There's only like a select handful of states that have abolished slavery once and for all. But with Abolish Slavery National Network, Max Parthas and Dennis Febo, as the coalition we're building, we will make sure that slavery is abolished once and for all throughout the United States.
Yes.
And that's our long-term goal. But short-term, because I promise you, we're only giving them a couple of years. Only a couple of years.
So they can stop making money off of our people.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And that's what it is.
Time,
You know,
for real.
we're footing the bill of $39,000 per incarcerated person.
Yes.
$39,000 per incarcerated
And how many people?
person. 50,000 incarcerated people in Ohio.
Yes.
You do the math. It's sickening. And 5,000 of them are considered old law incarcerated people.
Yes.
We have 4 laws in Ohio's penal system right now. Why? Because they're finding any and every opportunity that they can to profit off of incarcerated people. And they're slaves. They are slaves.
Can I ask you a question? Sure. Because that's what concerns me. I know they're slaves, but how do we explain to the community that they're slaves? Because they're not getting this. They're not understanding. When your sister, when your brother, when your cousin, when your friend, whomever that you know goes into the system, they're actually becoming legal slaves. And
It's called convict leasing.
you know, they
It-
don't
it-
understand
it's real.
this, you know, and to me, it's alarming, you know. Honestly, our organization didn't understand it until last year when we went to Columbus. We got a clearer understanding because she shares everything with us. You know what I'm saying? We've been working together because we definitely paid some visits to some folks, you know. But to understand that at any given time, well, they can go into the system and they can what they make about 28 cents.
If that, I mean,
If
my
that-
husband makes, I think it's like $17 a month.
For labor, hard labor.
Right. $17 a month. He can't even send me $5 home
Okay.
every month to help support us.
Right.
Hey, Lex. This is our VP.
Hi. I'm
Hi.
sorry. I've been kind of lingering down at the bottom in StreamYard because I don't know how to use it. So finally, I figured I could add myself to the broadcast if that's okay, just to join,
Yeah.
just to join the conversation. So I just wanted to introduce myself real quick. I'm Alexis Stores. I'm Vice President of Epic, Gina's right hand. So our organization's doing big things, and you know, I'm just here to contribute to the discussion. So
Can you do me a big favor though?
Thank you.
Me?
Lex.
Yeah, you see that all the way to the right, the big screen?
Phone lines
that
are
one.
open 216-939-5087. Any of my Bigo people have something to say?
Can you see?
Chime in.
Can y'all hear?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that.
There we go.
Who said yes? Any questions on Bigo from anybody?
We can hear you well.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to say a couple
Go
things
ahead.
about the prisons.
Mhm.
The first thing is when you have a concern,
Keep it like that,
when your
Lex.
loved one has a concern, it's really important for you to first try to address this situation yourself and document it. I can't say that enough. Document.
And they have to file grievances too.
Yes, make sure they file a grievance. You know, send that kaya. Make sure they do their end first. Because when it gets to us, we're gonna go full force to try to assist them. And we reach out to different people. We actually call the actual prisons and have those conversations. So it's really important to have everything documented because we don't want to call and say, well, you know, such and such called XYZ person and they didn't, you know.
You have it on paper trail. I
Yeah,
tell people
we
all the
have
time.
to.
I mean, I know people
Yeah.
like calling the prisons, but emaiing's just as better
Just
because
better, yeah.
it's paper trail. You have proof.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that we deal with incarcerated, like I said, it's hard to work individually. I mean, there's 50,000 people.
Yes.
Her crew, 7 people. My crew, 4 people. Plus, we have a
Yes.
force on the side of us. Plus, you know, Gay Lisa. Like,
Yes.
there's not enough of us to tackle them individually. So, like, the more exposure, like paperwork. Actually, I just had a family that we've actually been dealing with for quite some time. They actually just sent me some video. A picture today. And when they sent me the picture, I was just like, my mouth dropped. Like, I wish I would have known 5 months ago that it was this serious, right? Because just like when we deal with reporters and journalists and they, you know, finally want to cover the prisons, the biggest thing is when they call DRC for their input, it's alleged. We're alleged. Like, we're treated just like we are one of their slaves. And I'm sorry, but I'm paying you, and you're taking care of my loved one.
Yeah.
You are going to treat me with respect and dignity.
Yeah.
I'm a person. Like I've never, knock on wood. I mean, I have committed crimes. I've just never been caught. Let's be real. But I've never been incarcerated. I've never been incarcerated. So I don't feel that I should be treated as if I am my loved one. And I mean, that you do. Visitation, another story. You go in there, you're treated no better than they would be inside. And it's tough. It is extremely tough to love someone that is incarcerated. And that's why a lot of them kind of give up on their families because they feel like they're being a burden to them. You know, nothing is free in prison like people think that it is. You know, they have to get their own TVs. People are like, oh, they're just sitting in their cells watching TV, kicking it, doing this, doing that. No.
Mm-mm. Everything costs money in prison.
And a lot of money.
Even the
Toothpaste, $7 for a tube of toothpaste. Come on now. You can't tell me they are not profiting off of our loved ones. It's modern day slavery,
The food.
convict leasing, however you want to describe it. classify it, categorize it. Slavery is very much alive, and we have to abolish it once and for all, together in unity.
Yeah.
Period.
That's one of the things that our organization is working on in terms of their health, their nutrition, and really being concerned about that because they're coming home to us sick.
Mhm.
You know, I don't care how much you work out. If you eat the wrong food, it's not going to help.
And let's
We
not
are
even
the
talk
food
about the
we eat.
food.
Yeah, the food in there, it sucks. It sucks. I don't care.
She
if
could talk
you're
about it because she had to eat that,
She
but
would know. Okay.
I've seen pictures, I've
I
heard
mean,
horror
'cause
stories.
Look, oh my gosh.
I'm sitting here,
Like,
you know,
like,
listening to
We should probably
y'all.
She's going through my
Listen,
Oh my
because
God.
I have a whole different perspective because I've been there
Right,
and I do have to understand nobody put me there.
right.
And
I
fine,
like that.
fine, nobody put me there.
Yeah.
But
But-
the guidelines say this is how much time you give a person. Give them that time, let them go.
Right.
That's my whole thing. I don't argue about it or nothing. So in that instance, I understand that ODRC is just an department of another organization that,
Yeah.
like all the other organizations, make money off of us. So
I agree.
yeah. So the inhumane and degradation is what caused me to, when I got out, like nobody should have to go through this
Stuff.
shiggity.
He's my
And because, you know, a lot of people, you know, I was locked up from 90 to 2003 and I met a lot of people and half those people are on medicine. Half those people still don't know who they are. And that is what I saw, like, okay, you strip us and then you put us here and then you say, do this and do that. So we're making us dependent. And then you got us dependent, then you kick us out.
So my question to you is, how can we help push this forward? If you're breaking someone down,
Mhm.
animalistically
Mhm.
speaking,
Mhm.
breaking them all the way down, and then you kick them out,
Mhm.
then what do?
They're gonna do what they're
You
gonna
know,
do.
they're setting them up.
Yeah.
They're setting them up for failure.
Right.
You know,
And like
well, they're setting them back up to come back.
to come
in.
back, right?
so
for
that's my whole point.
Right.
That is the whole point of the system.
failure. Exactly.
The system is doing its job.
This is how it was
Yes,
intended
it
to
is.
be.
The
That's what
system
I'm
is
saying.
doing its
Yes,
job.
it is.
And if we fall for it, we fall for it.
Exactly.
So my point is not saying the system, we're not saying the system is wrong. We're saying that the system has to follow its own rules and
And
regulations.
they don't
And then we need to be able to,
hold
because
them
they
accountable.
they
if they're
take
not.
money in for programming, which they don't give anybody. So the programming needs to go for that person because the whole intent is to allow you to take a look at what you did and some things, you know, so you can change.
Right.
So the system, when the system doesn't do that, so the system is still primitive because it's not going to do anything but what it was
It's designed
invented to do
which is
from the first invention.
I agree. So with that being said, that's why it's so important for people like us
Mm-hmm.
and to step in
Yeah.
and to begin to build them back up.
So where we can fight is with the individuals.
Right. Right. Oh, I'm working with someone, my loved one, over at Grafton and also over at Clinton County.
Mm-hmm.
You guys see me like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yay, we
Mhm.
got a success here because I think when I was on here before with the Solomon Pope radio show, I was talking about our loved one over at Trumbull
Mm-hmm.
Correctional, and he had been waiting. He completed an awesome culinary arts program at the institution, but because of COVID, he didn't get a certificate. He had been trying to get it for a whole year. So he came back to me. He said, "Hey, I need to get out of here. I can't get out of here without, like I completed the program. I've done what I'm supposed to do, but I don't have a certificate. I've tried everything I could to get it. We just got it today.
That's
You know,
Good, yeah.
That's good.
See
God
that?
bless you. And a lot of people don't have that extra
Stuff like
support.
that,
They
right.
don't have
You know, that-
organizations. They don't have family. They don't.
Yeah, that's important.
And it's
Yeah.
sad.
But it's important that and if our loved ones are listening, it's important. I heard what you said, and it's really important to me. It's taking ownership. You're here now.
Mhm.
You put yourself there. Okay, now it's time to do the work
Mhm.
because you got work to do.
Yeah.
If you don't ever want to come back in here, because sometimes they make it kind of easy
Mhm.
to come back.
For
You
sure.
know, so they got. I'm hoping that what we call our old heads pick up the pieces and say, hey, bro, this is the way it is. This is the way it should be.
Right.
And that's what we're working on right now is building up from within.
Mhm.
And sharing that knowledge and that wisdom. I mean, it's so important because when they come out, they need to have a different frame of mind. Because if your mind hasn't changed, what you think about, what you do, you're going to go right back, regardless that system that you were talking about. So yeah, it's kind of like when you're in the army. As soon as you get in the army, you go to boot camp. They break you all the way down. But the difference is they build you back up as well.
Mhm.
And even though the prison system doesn't build you back up, we
The
in
community.
turn right
Yeah,
have to
absolutely.
start doing that because if not, we're not going to have anyone. And they start from the beginning. The school to prison pipeline.
It's serious.
It's targeted. That's
It's
real. If you don't believe me, look it up. School to prison pipeline. I'm working with JDC right now, Juvenile Justice Coalition right now, just beginning, to start talking about, we got to hit it. We got to help them before they get into the system.
Yeah.
Right.
By the time a kid is, the first 5 years of a child's life are the most important. It's when their character and everything, their habits and everything are formed. After that, they begin to display whatever it is that they've learned. So to me, if we can catch them before they start displaying certain characteristics and behaviors, then we can keep them.
The thing is we have to find things for our kids to do nowadays.
I agree
You know what I mean?
wholeheartedly.
Like, we have to
I do.
do the clubs. We have to get
Yes.
children involved.
Yes.
With different things because it really does. It starts. It's what I just seen somebody say. It starts when they're in third grade. Was that you guys?
Third grade pipeline.
Third grade pipeline.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's real. It's very real. They groom them. You go to detention. You after school. You got to stay here for an hour.
They're the discipline.
Right.
Setting them
It's
up
the
for the
discipline. Right. And then by the time they're now I'm not talking about when I was in school because, in school, if you got in trouble at school, your parent whooped you at school, and then you got home and you got a butt whooping, and somebody in your butt as well. There was no, I'm taking off work and I'm going to whoop your butt. Oh no, we didn't play that. That discipline is gone from the homes as well. So with the third grade school pipeline. Okay.
It's a tongue twister.
It's a pipeline.
You guys. But it's important.
School to prison.
School to prison pipeline. They set them up, and expose them and the teachers as well.
Who are getting paid the less.
Right. And then by the time they get to the prison system as a teenager,
The school system.
we have got to stop it at an early, and believe it or not, because everyone that knows me, my son was a CO, was a juvenile system. When I first met you guys, oh no, he resigned a couple months ago. COVID woke him up. It woke him all the way up, I've definitely heard a lot of horror stories, enough to make my stomach say, okay, we got to start helping them at a really young age. And by the way, I was in juvenile as a kid. I got in trouble myself as a kid. I know exactly what the jail cell looks like as a kid and a prison as a kid. I know exactly what it looks like. I'm not talking on the top of my head.
I've had the opportunity to go inside on the outside looking in. We actually got to tour CRC, and that was an experience for me.
As a teenager, but I was blessed, and I always say, God has definitely been carrying me through my whole life because He gave me a second chance, the same type of second chance that we want our loved ones to have today. You know, I got a second chance, and I want everyone who wants that to get it.
But there's no opportunity right now. in our
But we
system.
can create that.
We're going to,
Right.
for sure. Lex, are there any questions that have popped up?
No, but I popped in a few comments. I don't know if you guys are seeing them as you're,
No,
I
we
got
can't.
one
you're
from
talking.
Jen Reed. She says, "Thanks for the hard work you do to make change."
Thank you. Them encouraging words do mean a lot to us.
Not really any like questions, but just comments on what we've been talking about. One that when we were talking about being offered a trade, just from my personal knowledge, you know, sometimes the institutions that do offer trades, you know, you have to be within a certain out date. If you have too much time left to serve, and I think another comment, a person commented about that. If you have too much time left on your sentence, you can't get in those programs. So my thoughts to that are, then what are we doing about the population that has 10 more years to serve? You know, programming can change between now and then. You know, let these men and women get a trade, and then if they do have more time to serve, let them be a mentor or some sort of guidance to guys that are going through the program, you know, then. So, you know, we all know that's a hindrance to the rehabilitation that is supposed to take place. But that's just another roadblock for our incarcerated, you know, and that's, you know, that's a cry from the DRC. Well, we offer this, that, and the other program, but they fail to mention that a lot of these things, as far as a trade is concerned, you know, you can't get into unless you're short on your time.
Exactly what's going on with
You know,
daughter over in Marysville right now. That's exactly what's going on with her right now.
Well, that's true. We had an old timer who just went up. He's been in for almost 30 years now. Model prisoner, never seen the hole until COVID. For quarantining, he's seen the hole. But prior to quarantining in the hole, sad. Which the hole is segregation. One man, it's usually a 1-man, 2-man cell. It's only supposed to be one, but sometimes they overload it. But he's never had a rule infraction. He's never had any type of tickets. He's considered a model inmate, prisoner, incarcerated person. I really don't like that word.
Kicked
out.
Living proof chef.
Anyways, he just went up to the parole 3 years ago, and they flopped him.
Can y'all hear me?
Because he.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. They flopped him because he didn't have reentry classes. Well, the prison he was in didn't offer reentry classes. It was a level 3.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually he got a security review. They kind of basically forced him to move to a level 2, which let me tell you right now, for those that aren't aware, that it's a huge difference, especially atmosphere and adjustment. A level 3 is mostly cells. You can have some cells and some level 2s, but most of them are dorms. So for an older man who is 70-some years old to go from cell life, and he was in that prison from the time it was built, Trumbull, right, to go down to a level 2, which now he's in Richland, overcrowded, dorm. It was scary, and I was scared for him. Like, I just, you know, after so long of being in a cell and going to a dorm, like, it was a scary experience, but I prayed for him, and I just hoped and prayed that people would offer their arms wide open to him and take care of him, because he's elderly. He just went to the parole board. They actually called him up early, and I'm hoping that's a blessing. But still, he had a reentry class that he was told at the last parole hearing that he needed to complete, and it hasn't been offered to him the entire time he's been in Richland, and there hasn't been any of that programming since last year of March. So how do we prepare them to be suitable for parole if the programs aren't there? If the help's not there.
And I think that has to be looked at when guys go up. what was available at the time. And I know even before COVID, programming that wasn't offered at certain institutions, guys were trying to transfer to other ones just to get those classes. And, that sometimes isn't an easy feat, to get transferred to another institution, bed space, security, just all that. So for a guy that goes up or a woman that goes up that is lacking on their programming, that should not be held against them. And I don't know how many cases that there are that it is held against them or that it gets brought into question, but that definitely shouldn't be. And especially now with COVID, there's nothing no programming is running right now. So
figuring it out.
At least virtually. They should be doing it at least virtually.
At the beginning of COVID, we have what? It was like probably 49,000. I say 50 because let's just round up.
Right.
DeWine decided during the whole COVID crisis in the beginning, okay, I guess we'll release some people from prison, but he only released like 4,400 people, and they were going home already.
Yeah.
I mean, why couldn't we extend it? I mean, people that only had a year left on their sentence, I mean, God forbid they weren't sentenced to a death sentence, let them go.
Yeah.
And we were dealing with myself, the vice president, Alexis, our group, we had people that were due for release in October.
Yes.
And it's April, March, April, May. Let them go. They only have a couple of months. You already made your profit off of them for the year. I mean, what's a couple more months? But no. They will definitely keep them in them prisons for as long as they can.
You know why?
Right. Which links back to we were going to talk about the parole board. Okay, so our parole board in Ohio is ran at absolute discretion. There's absolutely no guidelines. They took the guidelines out of our parole board many years ago, and quite frankly, they need to put them back. So our organization, EPIC, has been working on a proposal. We are definitely ready to put our foots in the door with the lawmakers. Will, Dill, harass them, whatever we have to do to make sure that we can get this proposal even looked at, sponsored, pushed through, and passed. It would set guidelines for incarcerated people. It would, for the parole board to give our prisoners a meaningful opportunity, which they have that right in our Constitution, and make them define what makes them suitable for parole.
Right.
Because right now, what's going on in our parole is it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. It's I
woke up and I had a good day.
Yeah, pick or choose. Right.
Not to mention, I'm sorry, Gina, real quick, because I lose my train of thought. The parole board works alongside, I don't know alongside, but in tandem with JCAR. And I don't know the abbreviation for that, but JCAR are the ones that can change the administrative rules that the parole board goes by. And a lot of times those changes slip right through. And I know the latest one had to deal with verbiage regarding nature of the crime. And they made some little changes, but it basically the wording means the same. And I know EPIC was in on testified at one of the hearings, and I don't know if we were notified of the next or if it because of COVID, nothing, nobody was able to testify, but it slipped right through. And now the AR's changed, and it didn't change nature of the crime verbiage at all. And they use that a lot when giving people more time or flopping them at a parole hearing. So that's another issue too, is the JCAR interface. And
JCAR is the Joint Committee on Agency Rule Review. They basically they control like the Senate committees and stuff like that. I get emails every week of which bills they're coming up with and this, that, and the other. Also, another good thing to keep in contact with is Ohio Rule Watch. And you can put in like your own like attorney general rules, governor rules. My favorite is Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. So anytime they have to, because certain rules, certain policies and procedures have to be renewed every 5 years or whatever it may be. So even if they're not wanting to change it, they still have to put that out there and let the public know that it's due for a change, right? So Ohio Rule Watch You go on there, you can get alerts. They'll email you every time DRC tries to change some type of policy. It emails you everything, and that's how I stay on top of it. And that's what the public needs to do, because that's how they're sneaking these policy and procedures in that make no sense, that aren't helping us or helping the incarcerated. It's helping the profiting of the prison, period. Just recently, they just put in, there's a rule that's actually supposed to be voted on. They're going to start charging them, quote unquote, rent.
Oh, that's a whole nother sore subject. They're going to make more money off of them, you know, and guys who do have jobs are getting paid minimally. So when you have a percentage of their income or their earnings from whatever employment they have inside is going back to the state, and that's just a travesty. You know, as families, we already fund enough, you know, of the state for our loved ones. And just like you all were talking, everything's so overpriced and inflated that, you know, some men and women who don't have families, you know, they have to go on what the state supplies them. And you know, a lot of people would really be surprised what a little bar of soap looks like. Jay Lisa, I'm sure you can attest to that. What state provided hygiene, you know, and you know,
she said, yeah.
Y'all
gonna stop picking on me.
It was blue soap back when I was down there. So.
Right. It's terrible. So, you know, it not only for guys who are struggling just to have the basic necessities to maybe have a job that maybe would enable them to go to commissary and get something a little more than the bars. Maybe they can get a dial soap or whatever. Now that's going to be taken away, or they're going to be charged, you know, and it's going to come out of their earnings. So, that's just something that, that slipped through too. That was on one of those rule changes on the revised code that got changed because it was I think it was up in 5 years and they had to go back over it. So
we have to pay attention. Like, that's the thing. We have to pay attention to when they're processing these rules and putting them through. We can no longer allow them to continuously making policy and procedures to their benefit. It's not helping. It's not helping us. It's not helping them, and it's not helping the people, period.
I'm going to pop a comment in here from Karina. You know, there's also the CIIC is an oversight committee that's supposed to, you know, inspect prisons and make sure that everything's, you know, up to code and running properly. I know representatives and I think some senators sit on the CIIC. And right now, even requests during COVID to go, hey, go take a look at, you know, Marion Correctional. You got cracks in the ceiling and you're trying to overcrowd the second floor and guys could actually feel the ground shaking. Go in, you know, get in there and see what you can come up with. And one of the answers that a gentleman got back was, well, there's only 4 of us right now on the committee and we just don't have time. So like Karina said, you know, as the public, as loved ones, or even as just taxpayers in general, you know, we need to be involved in holding people accountable, not only for the safety of the incarcerated, because the state is responsible for that, but just to make our voices heard that, hey, you know, these people aren't forgotten. They're, you know, they need to be safe and they need to be housed in an appropriate manner. And unfortunately, like I said, the CIIC, like Karina said, right now they're not doing their job. And, you know, that's a big thing right now. Big thing.
Oh no, we're good. Sorry.
You're right. But what, as far as CIC is concerned, my concern with them is, when is the last time you've actually went into the institutions and taken a look at them? Because based upon the website now, it might not be updated, but basically 2019, they don't even have a clue what's really going on. They're just there.
They only go in there when somebody files a complaint. That's
Right.
the only time they'll go in. And if not,
Well,
like,
that's not true, because we
Right.
actually had Erica Crosley, who was a part of
Right.
that, who was a part of the CIC. And I know our organizations,
Yes.
PAPS, a couple of us organizations, we feel like we got under her skin a little bit with
Yeah.
tagging her into a lot of stuff. And she kind of got,
Upset.
she did. Like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, I do care. Well, okay, well, you might care, but what about your team, you know?
Action over words.
Yes.
Action over words.
We're
okay?
tired of hearing.
Yes.
We're tired of hearing about it. We want to see
Yes.
action. We want to see accountability. We want to see credibility. All of that. But yeah, let's go back to the parole board and let's talk about it, because that's what's keeping our incarcerated people inside prisons and why we're footing this bill.
And I just want to mention in terms of the parole board, because I think that the gentleman I'm talking about, he actually should be under the old law. He's now done the 31 years. He was sentenced to basically 23 years to life. He's went up for parole twice. He is an outstanding.
They don't want to let them go.
Outstanding
They need them. They
person.
keep them.
Yes.
They just,
Has completed about every program, was an honor dorm, a mentor. The list just continues to go on. But you're saying that he will be detrimental to our society.
Yeah.
we just had a young man who was like,
The phone is ringing.
Y'all saying it like, oh, no.
Welcome to Spreading Love Unapologetically.
Oh, they hung up.
I'm
was
looking.
Heidi.
I thought it was Gina's phone. I'm like, somebody's phone. It's not
For the
mine.
viewers,
Here she
here we
goes.
go. We got a call,
Okay.
guys.
Spreading Love Unapologetically. What's on your mind?
Hello.
Hello.
Spreading love unapologetically. What's on your mind?
Yes, I'm one of the advocates that works with both these ladies that are online, and I'd like to speak with them about the abuse that's in the prison.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, you're
Hey,
live.
Heidi.
You're live.
Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hi, Heidi.
So I do a lot of specialty cases on behalf of by any means, and I also work really closely with Gina. We have late night talks. But I have a case that is a gentleman has been in there incarcerated, and he was in Grafton when he first started out, and he was an honor dorm. He had done several certificate programs until COVID. And then he ended up getting leveled down. He ended up going to Marion. And in Marion, he was abused by 11 COs. They literally beat the man to death.
Yep.
To the point where they had to perform CPR on him.
Lost his vision.
And bring him back to life. They knocked his eyeball literally out of socket to where he had to go to the hospital, perform one surgery. He's still waiting, pending because of COVID, pending other surgeries. He did 164 days in the hole there in Marion until I talked to him to get them to level him back up to get him moved. And now we can't seem to find any of his legal papers that left the hole with him. So that's another process of craziness that we deal with in the prisons. And it's just been a lot to deal with as far as I deal with his family, and I talk to him personally a few times a week. And I just want to kind of explain that it doesn't take 11 COs to deal with, and I hate that word, or a prisoner.
It is presently,
We like that word.
the politically correct is presently justice involved.
There you go. I like that term.
Justice involved.
Justice involved.
Thank you.
I am having trouble hearing you guys on my phone. I don't know if it's my phone.
Did you hear me, Heidi?
I can barely hear you yet. A little bit.
Oh,
She said former justice involved.
presently.
Presently.
Or formally.
Yes.
If they're in, they presently justice involved.
It's all about changing the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
We have to change the narrative. They are people. They do deserve to get treated with dignity and respect. And
the phone lines are open 216-939-5087. 216-939-5087. I want to welcome Jenny Lefevre and Jen Reach. They are two exonerees that are listening in, and they have a plethora of information and knowledge. They will be appearing with us on the show, when for that topic. But if you guys want to say anything, call in 216-939-5087. You still there, Heidi?
She hung up.
Heidi.
thanks for calling in, Heidi.
Nice. She said she couldn't hear.
Go ahead.
We had someone you mentioned about Cecil Thomas.
Cecil Thomas.
Okay, they have some information for you about him.
Oh, awesome.
him.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that was Heidi with By Any Means.
Yes.
And so we've talked about the beginning, the middle, the end, the saga, and the ups and the downs, and it's going to go on and on. But what do we do now? That's kind of where we're at. That was kind of the format that we wanted to take with this. I mean, it's only going, it's a few of us. It's probably only going to be a few, but
Right.
I know that it is something that the public and interested people can get behind, and we can make some changes. I mean, it doesn't have to be the way that it is. So, we would love to get the COs trained or the employees trained.
For sure.
That would be.
Like I said, but the demographic is what.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting.
But I know the demographic is more, but they're also more in the society as well. And so naturally it will be that way.
Yeah.
We've got to attack it from that aspect.
It's all
as
about
well.
the numbers.
Exactly.
I mean, it's all about the
numbers.
proof. I mean,
You know,
database is database. There's no going.
we got this.
Yes, we do.
We got this.
And then another thing we absolutely have to do is we have to change the parole board. And the only way we are going to be able to do that is in unity, all for one, because it's going to take a lot of lobbying those lawmakers to make a change into the parole board, because they all have stock into these prisons and the industries that run these prisons. So it's going to take a lot for them to make them like-minded like us. But it's 2021. It's time for common sense. It's time to update some laws. It's time to go over a few things and bring it to modern day. Parole board, free the 13th. I mean.
Well, a lot of people don't know it's not even a self-defense law in Ohio.
No, it's not.
And speaking of the parole board, they were abolished in 1996.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. So I was actually on the lawsuit that was brought against the Ohio Department of Corrections and their parole board chairman in 1996, because they deemed it unconstitutional, because what they were doing is resentencing us without taking us before the judge. So they were able to get judges involved, and that's really what passed the bill. So they abolished it in 96, and since then, everybody should have been released that was under the old law, whether they were doing life or not.
Really?
Yes. And it is still a civil lawsuit.
SIRAK.
Norman Sirac.
Yeah.
So there are a number of different ways, as well as a number of different things that are going on, but there is information, and that is just how we combat all of this, with the right information and the right action.
Right. And I think right now, too, is the perfect time. I mean, any time's perfect when it comes to what we're fighting for, but the climate in our country regarding criminal justice and racial disparity, these politicians, don't want to feel that heat. I mean, it's evident in our president today, willing to make some changes to some criminal justice laws in the country. And I think if we can lobby enough of our representatives and our state senators, and put some pressure on them, like, hey, you have constituents that are affected by this. The country is affected by this. Society knows about this. Let's get behind it and make some new laws, make some changes. So, COVID has kind of slowed us down a little bit, but I know that, and I believe that this is a great time for us to really get in there and lobby for the changes in the laws regarding the parole board.
And anybody that doesn't know, the parole board, so anyone who was sentenced prior to 1996 is like July 1996. And anyone with a life tail, they have to see the parole board. So it's not that everybody has to see the parole board. It's just those individuals. And the thing is that the parole board is flopping these individuals for nature of crime, for institution records, for this, that, and the other. But those people that were sentenced after 96 that have outdates are convicted of the same crimes these individuals that have to see the parole board are, and they're being released every day with no programming.
Right.
Horrible.
Senate Bill 2 was not made retroactive. And unfortunately, like Gina said, same crimes getting released, and we have
we're releasing child molesters every day. We're releasing people that committed rape every day. Like, these charges are being released every single day. So why can't we help the ones that are stuck?
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of people will be like, and I think even the governor may have said this early on when he was trying to, release people. The worst of the worst are the ones that are old law. That's not true. Those old law, they've committed the same crimes that everybody after Senate Bill 2 has committed. They're just stuck.
The definition didn't change.
They're stuck. They're stuck because of the parole board guidelines. And these guys are older. You're talking 40 plus, and the recidivism rate for guys in for that, is really low. Now there are people that need to stay, for the rest of their lives, and I firmly believe that. But there's also, people that, they see it. They see men and women going out for the same crimes that they committed, their outdates, or they see guys and women leaving and coming right back. Do you know how discouraging that must be for our old law people? It's just something has to change. And I'm
and women, they're not even going to their parole hearings because they already know that they're going to be disappointed.
Right.
They don't even bother, and it's truly sad because they weren't sentenced to life without parole. They weren't sentenced to a death sentence, but they are living a life with parole, and a life without parole sentence is equivalent to each other because of the parole board discretion. They have absolute power, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's time for people to open their eyes and take heed of the situation at hand right now, because like I said, even if you're not affected, you're condoning this behavior. And if you have a heart, this is not right.
Yeah. I mean, you have judges sentencing, on a low end 15, even on a life sentence, or a 15 to, my husband's case, his top number is 75, and the judge might as well gave him 15 to life, but he stacked his 3 charges because I think as retribution for not taking the plea that was offered. And we were talking about complicity. All his charges are complicity. He was at the scene of a crime, and he's doing 15 to 75 years and has served 10 years over his minimum and has been flopped twice. So these are the types of things that that people need to understand. And if I could touch on a minute, Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor had tried, and I'm not sure if it happened. I've read up on it, but she is a supporter of a sentencing database so that our judges and prosecutors can go in, because it's such a disparity between counties or even cities of what they're sentencing our people to. And I have to look back up on that, because her term's up, and I think that's a great tool. Is it going to solve anything or solve everything? No, but if it's used properly, I think that it could make a difference. So if you're not familiar, Google that. I'm going to Google it myself and see whatever happened to that database and if it's been put into play yet. But I think that would give the judges, if a fair guideline, hey, judge, whoever sentenced this person with the same crime to 5 to 10 years, but my initial thought, I'm going to sentence him to 15. Well, that's not fair. Those sentencing guidelines.
Doing this work, doing database, Epic holds a database. When someone adds us to JPay, or even if they reach out, correspond, we take down their number. First thing we do, we pull up their ODRC database chart. We're entering in when they went in, their birthday, blah, blah. And it's insane to look at when you sort it by charge it or by crime, and then you got the same guys with aggravated murder, kidnapping, but you got this guy here has 100 years, this guy here has 10 to life. And I mean, there really is no common denominator and no prime or reason as to how, why, who, none of that. And Alexis is right. It's going back to the judge and the prosecutor.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of cases like my husband's where, and even this wasn't said to my husband, but we have a lot of people that we work with that were told if they took a plea, oh, do this, that, and the other, and we won't block your parole. We will be in support of your release. And I don't know of anyone who that's happened to. They're promised. Yeah. So instead of going to trial, even guys who weren't guilty or who believe that, they can beat the case. Oh, I better take this plea because the judge said and the prosecutor said that if I keep my nose clean and if I take, part of these programs and do this, that, and the other, that I'm going to go home when I come up. That never happens. So, those things too, you have judges and prosecutors misconduct, and there's so many issues that we need, that need to be touched on and tackled. And we're only little organizations, and we just need more people to back us up and take part and make changes.
Yeah. Phone lines are open, 216-939-5087. Phone lines are open, 216-939-5087. Go ahead. I was finished.
Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about National Day of Support of Prisoners.
Yes.
Exciting.
So our organizations have decided that on National Day Support a Prisoner Day, which is February 20th, we are all going to be a force together And believe in me, it's been shared so many times. I'm so grateful because I've been wanting to do this since last year.
She has. She's been like, come on, people, get it together.
But I'm glad that even within a month, it's been shared a lot, and I'm hoping that a lot of people participate. So February 20th, National Supporter Prisoner Day. Our organizations are having a campaign. It's a window campaign, and we titled it "Display Your Pain" (PAIN) through your window pane (PANE). So when I say this, what I mean is we're going to get creative. Go to the craft store, buy some chalk markers, buy window markers, buy some duct tape or electrical tape or whatever. Decorate your windows in support of your incarcerated loved one, or just in support of mass incarceration in general.
Yes.
Free them all.
Yes.
In mass incarceration and slavery now. February 20th will be the start date. We're going to run it through that week. I'm asking that if anybody participates, to please send your videos, your pictures, or anything of your window pane to EPIC, EPIC, X, the letter X, and then team, TEAM 20 at gmail.com. We would like to get them all together and run it as like a collaged video with maybe some music background and really get this going and possibly make this an annually campaign, because I feel that it is very important, because how many people have kept their situations with their loved ones that are incarcerated to themselves. They've never been able to tell a neighbor or tell a friend. The reason why I thought this idea would be great is it would open up the avenue with showing your communities how many people are truly infected by incarceration. Yeah. And then, it's all about persuading people. And I tell my girls all the time, they know this is hard work. It's hard to persuade people. People are so old school. They see eye for an eye. They ain't trying to listen. Okay, well, if you're telling 10 people and you persuade one, imagine how many people that one person is going to persuade throughout their lifetime. Mm-hmm. You did your job for the day. Persuade one. Easy goal, right? Yeah. And then once you start talking, numbers and how much it's costing, I mean, it really does make people open their eyes like, wait a minute, what? Huh? That don't make sense. No, it doesn't. So we need to make it make sense. So yes, February 20th, National Supporter Prisoner Day. We would like this campaign to be worldwide. I just ask for people to please send their window panes to us and show us your pain. Show us your pain.
Now listen, no, I am not creative. I'm a techie person.
Mm-hmm. So I said, wait a minute. Yeah, there you go. And that was the easiest way you can do it. Black electrical tape. Yep. Hey, prison bars on them windows if you got to. Easy as that.
Yes, I cannot wait.
Window marker, chalk marker, very easy to clean. Free them all. Simple writing if you can't get creative. Just make sure those window panes are displaying your pain. Please. Yep. If you're involved with any like college universities, which I used to love going to Columbus down by Ohio State University, they would have so many windows decorated with Post-it notes. They would make a design with Post-it notes. I think they banned that though. I was just looking to see because I was going to try to reach out to OSU students if I could find any. I'd like to get the universities involved as well. Anybody, your work, your job, your car windows. I like that one. Car windows. I mean, it's simple and it's going to bring awareness to any and everybody. And like I said, if you guys could please email them to us, we would greatly appreciate it. But let's make this huge. Let's get our communities involved.
And we're sharing it through JPay as well.
Yeah. And that's February the 20th, everybody. February the 20th. Yes. I want to shout out some of my forever friends, lifetime friends, people who show up when I ask them to, just because they do, because that's what they do. Janice, Shana, Gigi, Lisa, Shanita, Khadijah, Nancy, Amy McAllister, Nikki, I'm just gonna say first names: Robin, Don, Tasha, Sherry, Anita, Heather, Paul and Oreo, two of my guys, Mike Mix, Patricia Pearson, Jenny LaFever, Jenny Reach, Belinda Coulter, Sandy Watkins, Lisa Seward. Those are some of my friends. Majority of the list is formerly justice involved individuals, and I just want to shout them out. I want to shout out Shore Center Laundry for their sponsorship and support. They're here in the Cleveland area. Any shout outs or announcements?
I'd be here for hours, and I don't want nobody mad like you forgot
Go
about
ahead,
me.
Gina, go
So
ahead, go
I'm
ahead.
just gonna say, for anyone that's been on my sides,
Yes.
not behind me, but on my sides, putting that work in, boots
Yes.
on ground,
Yes.
all hands on deck. I appreciate
Mhm.
you guys. I appreciate you guys reaching out, telling me how inspiring I am to you.
Yes.
I appreciate the encouraging words that keep me going every day. This work is hard. It's exhausting.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
It's stressful. But you know what? The bigger picture is that we have many deserving people behind them bars, and we must break the gates, period. So if you've been standing by me, you've been standing by Epic, you've been standing by my husband, Peter Kenny Jr., free him, please.
Yes.
I appreciate you guys. A lot of my really solid people have been by my side for years, and they totally support me, even not having a loved one incarcerated, and they understand me and they support me and they keep me moving. And I appreciate you guys, because without the force beside me, I couldn't do this alone.
Well, let's shout them out. Who we got? We got two others.
Let me shout out my board members though, because they deserve
Okay.
they deserve it.
Epic.
All right. My vice president Alexis, who was able to join us on StreamYard.
Mhm.
Alexis.
Hey.
We have Miss Terry Croson, which unfortunately was supposed to join us today, but prayers for her.
Prayers for you, Terry.
Please, she went
I
to
hope
the
you're
emergency.
listening, Terry.
Yes, Terry, we love you. We appreciate you. Get better. Speedy recover, because lady, we got work to do and we need you. She went to the emergency room today with some health issues, and they admitted her. So please pray for her. And then Miss Ashley, my secretary, going above and beyond. She's going to be starting a Live with Brooke show every Monday or every other Monday. We haven't really decided yet, but we've been doing it. We just had Jimmy Romans, who was granted clemency from Trump. He was just on live with us the other day. We got a Night of Power Tree event going on our pages, ensuring parole for incarcerated citizens. Look it up on Facebook. You can find at least 2 or 3 of our pages. It's always streamed from any of them. Night of Power Tree. Miss Amira Rose is the host of that.
Dynamic.
Yes,
Dynamic.
that is formerly and currently incarcerated people bringing power to the mics.
Yes.
And believe in me, there's been some very powerful poems, some very powerful words spoken. We appreciate you, Amira, for giving us that platform and collaborating with Epic. And these ladies definitely appreciate it as well. I know I've seen them sharing and sharing and sharing. And that's what it's about. Like, if you don't know how to support us, if you can't donate, you ain't got the funds, share our posts. Share our information.
Please, people, share. Just share. Don't cost that much to share.
And a like. Hey, a like.
A like,
the more
a
likes,
share,
the more likes a post gets, the more it's popping up in other people's newsfeeds.
Yes.
Now, if you ain't getting likes, nobody's seeing it. So please, just a simple like, share, comment, whatever you can do to just try to be involved.
All right.
And then I want to say I appreciate both these women. They are forces. I'm so thankful I get to collaborate with both, and I'm very thankful with BAM, because listen, it was rough in the beginning of our endeavors, but I'm glad that God's seen us through, and we were able to come together as a force.
Yes.
Actually 3 forces, 1 problem. Their struggle is our problem.
Yes.
So we're definitely here to bring change. And I know you got your own list, girl.
No, I didn't do a list, because first I just want to thank God. Thank him for having us here. I want to thank him. Thank you for letting
this opportunity
being
platform.
come and epics. You guys are dynamic. You have taught us so much. You have been there to support us in every way. Like
She gonna make me cry.
I was confused. I was
Ain't no
the last
crying up
one.
here. Ain't
No crying. No.
I was the last one on
crying.
my team, you guys, and I didn't know anything. Okay, and they were like, "We got you." Yeah, I'm calling her.
Right. That's it. That's
And
what
I
I
still
do.
do it. I mean,
Send it to Gina. You got it.
I'm confused,
Mhm.
because, and that's what we need more of. To me, leadership is being able to teach and to
Yes.
share, not holding it all. in.
You
So,
you
yeah.
cannot lead
Yeah.
with an ego.
That's right.
Period.
So I want to shout out my team at By Any Means.
By any means.
My president, Miss Teresa
Teresa.
Yes. She couldn't be here today because she was helping me yesterday. She's tired, and I just want to say thank you, cousin. I love you. I want to shout out Karina, who is, she is definitely, when I say on both sides, at all times, she is on both sides. She spreads herself completely thin in the midst of losing her husband, and she still went hard, and I just want to thank her because she goes hard for the ladies. She really does. Heidi, as you could tell, she was right on it. Heidi, she is our firecracker. We call her our firecracker because she would go there with you.
Yeah, you need one.
They was like, well, she was in the army. I was in the army, but she's the firecracker. I'm just like mellow. I will take you there. Christy, and Christy, thank you, sweetie. She works. Her goal this year really is to work a lot with reentry, and so I just want to thank her. And Gail, my love, Gail, she is our researcher. When I tell you that woman at 4:00 in the morning will email you and send information. I was just thinking about this, and yeah. She breaks it all down, and Penzi, and Penzi is working along with Heidi on our nutrition, and I just want to thank all of these ladies because there's no I in team.
There is no I in team. Everyone achieves more.
And I love you guys, and I want to thank every single person out there who have been supporting us. We can't do this without y'all. And I want to thank my loved ones, all of them, all of y'all loved ones, all of them, for staying strong and allowing us and trusting us.
Trusting us. More importantly, it is definitely hard to. It's definitely hard to get
trusting
their trust.
us because I know it's a lot of people out here. They out here for the wrong reasons. So I want to thank y'all for trusting us with that to continue to advocate and do the work. Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll be here every Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m. Talking about different things. Hopefully, bringing some more people on, tackling some issues. Hopefully, coming every week with what we did last week. We're going to make some progress every week with our overall collaboration, as everybody does their own little thing. And
that's the thing. Everyone has their own agendas, their own talents, and the whole 9 yards. But we can all come together as a force, and work together and really put the work in. I mean, there's so much work that needs to be done that not one person nor one organization is going to take it all. Period.
Yes.
They're not going to be able to do. They're not going to be able to do everything. It's impossible. There's just too much work to be done. Period. But we definitely appreciate the support. Like I said, the following, the sharing, the whole 9 yards.
Share.
And if you have a couple of bucks and can contribute, please, by any means, reach out to us and let us know how you can. All of our work is done by donations.
Yes.
We are a nonprofit 501c3, and to keep ourselves operating, the funds are definitely needed. A lot of us, because we're so well invested in it with our loved ones, we're willing to put in that money for the organization to keep it going. Because I'm gonna tell you what, my pockets have been dug into quite a bit. Just to keep the organization going, whether it be getting printer ink, getting paper,
Stamps, all of that.
personal needs. These are things that business cards. It's not free. This stuff is not free. Yes,
And we also, most of us, we have full-time jobs too. So this is something that
we don't get paid to do this work.
Right. And I would love it if I could, quit my job and get paid. But
I wish I could get paid to do this every day because I do it. I wish I could just family by.
But we will be soon.
Yep.
Amen.
I told her
sisters.
that
Amen,
earlier.
sisters.
We'll be soon.
And you can find Adjusted Lives Healing Hearts on Facebook. You can also find us at alhh.info, and that's where you can donate there on Facebook as well. And if we don't have anything else, we're going to end this one for today and tell everybody to look out for us next week, same time, same space, and let's just do it one day at a time. Y'all.
Together we rise.
Together we
can.
Together we rise. Everybody. Thank you.
Hey.
She pull up on me, I know what she about to say. What's poppin'?
Brand new whip to stop it.
I got options. I can pass that shit like Stockton. Just Johnson. I'm spending this year, they locked in. My body got rid of them toxins. Calling my celebrate it. Real good shit style. I like a thing with no molly. Come with no college. Call me the baby for the pilot. I'm a friend with child. That's in my middle. I still hit my cousin. And I just flew back from LA on the jet yesterday. I go back and talk like I play tennis.
There you go.
I'm gonna put the background on. Hold on.
What up? Yeah, I ain't no damn music.